Well, Bishop, man, thank you for taking time out of your day and spending it with us. Know you guys got 1,000,001 things going on with all of the transition from this pandemic and everything that has been happening, trying to stay ahead of the ball, trying to think ahead of the curve, and doing it all when you don't know what's coming next and coming at you, and you gotta juke and dance along the way. So I just want to say, as you being my pastor, that watching you walk through this thing gracefully and powerfully, that you've set a great example, and your leadership has been amazing. And I say thank you, and the people of Square Root Church say thank you vicariously through me, because they don't even know how much you've been imparting into us in this time of shaky ground.
Well, man, there's no one I would rather talk to today than you. And I think the world of what you guys are doing there. And I love my Square Root family.
Yeah.
And when I come back to preach there, I want people to be standing up around the walls.
Come on.
But you guys are doing it so greatly, and thank God for you, and thank God for the faithfulness and the heart of the Square Root family to make sure that when we come out on the other side of this, that our churches are strong.
Yeah.
And I know that you care deeply about the people that God has entrusted to you.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we're talking, because you want them to know that everything is going to be all right. I've had a tendency to say for many years on my Thursday night services, ain't nobody sad, mad, or looking bad but the devil.
All right.
And, so we're very alert, all of us are, and concerned and careful and wise, but we're not overtaken.
Right.
And we are not thrown down, because we know enough about God to know that what God does not send, God will also use.
Right.
And God is using these times and will use these times to bring us into a greater place with Him. And it is my belief, 100%, I tell you, it is my belief Square Root Church will be in the best position it's ever been in.
Amen.
When all this is over.
Come on, Bishop.
And then I'm going to come down there and preach and throw water on people and oil and run through the building.
It'll be long overdue. People are going to be so thirsty for a touch and from running from sneezes. It's time to throw some water and oil.
Yeah,
So
well, everybody's going a little bit stir crazy right now because I think we're maybe a few weeks earlier into it than you guys may be. I don't know. But we've been on about, I think Kathy and I counted about 10-day lockdown right now. Okay,
my
so
God.
everything's shut down, and we trying to be married and love each other. We've been married for 35 years, and we love each other. But I'm like, okay, I need you to back up.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real. Oh man. So Bishop, anyone who's watching this right now, who's seen my live just a few moments or little while ago, knows that Square Root Church has gone to strictly online services from this Sunday going forward. Up until this point, though, we have been providing 2 platforms, which is you can watch our stuff on live, but we also were still meeting so long as regulations hadn't changed. One thing I mentioned in a message last week, last Wednesday, was that for people who are staying home and choosing to self-quarantine, I said, if you are not intentional about turning your living room into a sacred space,
Love
and
it.
being able to take what's familiar and turn it into something holy to really encounter God and get past arguments and things like that, then it's just a good saying that you can do the same thing at home that you can do at church. And if you're not able to do that, then you should really get to a place. Now, so the focus of some of the things I want to ask you is how we can be intentional, and how we can really minister to those of us who are now at home or those who have decided to stay home. What are some ways that people can be intentional about turning their living rooms into a worship space to encounter God, so that this distancing thing is not just become a gimmick for us?
I think everything in life is a matter of perspective, and perspective to me comes from a place of theology or revelation. When the last plague hit Egypt, God told them, "Go in your house."
Yeah.
Shut the door.
Right.
Stay in your house. And I've always liked to say, stay under the blood.
Right.
Stay in your house. Shut the door. And it was a similar thing that happened with Rahab. You know, the walls of Jericho are going to come down. Get everybody in your family, get in your house and shut the door. No matter what you see, get in your house and shut the door and don't come out that house.
Right.
Noah with his family. To me, the ark is a houseboat.
Right.
Get up and shut the door on that house. So there's a lot to say about that. You know, as for me and my house, you know, we will serve the Lord. So I don't think that it replaces corporate gatherings.
Right.
I think that it is important to corporate gatherings. I think the day will come when we can all get together the way that we want to. I've been reading this verse and hearing it differently in my own mind. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go to the house of the Lord. I've said that 1,000 times in my life, heard it 1,000 times in my life. I'm reading it and hearing it differently right now.
Yeah.
Because truth of the matter is, I might be going a little left of field with you.
You're good.
But for years, I've watched families, good-meaning people. I don't have any rocks to throw. But church was kind of optional. We won't be there this Sunday. You know, we got soccer this, we got dance this, we got baseball this. We got, you know, we going to the lake, we going to the beach. And church was, you know, just kind of like put into the same level as everything else. It's Sunday's family day for us, as if church interrupted your family day. And I think right now, one of our blessings is that you don't always know how much you care about something until it's no longer an option.
Right.
And I'm thinking that we're going to come out on the other side of this, having turned our homes into sanctuaries.
Right.
And then realizing the faces that we miss.
Right.
The gathering that we miss. And man, whenever that time is that we come out on the other side of this, and everybody, I'm telling you right now, verily, I say unto you, people will be posting everywhere. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go to the house of the Lord.
Yeah. So I know that when me personally, because I'm a wild one. You know what I mean? I don't really care much for what I look like to people often. And so when my worship is my worship. You know, my praise is my praise. And so like for me, when I'm in my home and I'm setting an atmosphere, or if I'm somewhere just trying to really worship, I'm not one who has a problem walking around clapping, you know, like I'm in a stadium, or crying out, or laying down before God, or and speaking out, you know, because I understand that I'm entering into his gates with thanksgiving and his courts of praise, and then and things shift, and that atmosphere shifts, so that my living room can have a manifested presence of God. But a lot of people, they do not, when they may put some quiet music on and just sit quietly and this and that, but for that glory. I mean, because I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to miss over this time meditation. I mean, there's going to be plenty of meditation. I'm not going to miss, you know, study time. There's going to be plenty of study, but that glory, you know, that we encounter when we press. What are some techniques people can put in place, or can what can people do to get that glory, Bishop?
So here's part of that, is that we are in a reset moment.
Yeah.
Things are being reset, because the truth of the matter is that most of us don't worship in our homes.
Come on, Bishop. Come on, Bishop.
And we don't teach our children in our homes.
Yeah.
Our children have never seen us pray, lay on the floor, call out to God.
Right.
And we kind of outsource their Bible learning to the children's pastors, and we outsource our praise and worship to the worship leaders. But think about what it means, because we're building memories right now. This is like unprecedented.
Right.
I mean, we've never been this way before.
Right.
Okay. So what I think is, my grandson Theo, who's 4, my children Meredith, who's 31, and Phil, you know, that are leading our church here, I'm teaching them memories.
Yeah.
They will be able to, like old people, someday they're going to look back and tell young people, oh, y'all don't know nothing. In 2020, we had a pandemic and shut down a whole nation. But my dad laid us on the floor and told us to call out unto God and taught us how to pray. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's something that we should be thinking about, that things that we drifted from, that's how we turn our homes into a sanctuary. It doesn't have to be an all day. You don't got to preach to nobody, but okay, so this is me. I'm an old guy. The numbers of children that I run into that don't know the story of Noah, that don't know David and Goliath, that don't know Daniel in the lion's den.
Come on.
They don't know basic Bible stories. And you ain't got to be an apostle and a bishop or anything to sit your kids down and find a story and say, I want to tell you about a man, you know, and tell them that stories. It didn't have to be all night long. Play a little worship song and say, we're all going to join hands here and pray for a minute.
Right.
And to me, that's what it means to turn your home into a sanctuary.
So with that, and I kind of got two questions that could run off of this, but I'm going to stay with this one here. For a parent, what's my wording for this? For a parent who has never discipled their child before, right? Just like you said, how they have outsourced to the youth or to the children's pastor, all of these different things. Now that it's time to lead them in worship in the home. And perhaps in this society where you have catered to your child for the most of his life, you know, that if he don't want green beans, he ain't got to eat green beans. If he want, you know, if he
don't know my daddy, he don't know my daddy.
Right. Hey,
that belt is coming off.
My kids like whatever I cook. Whatever I cook is their favorite meal. Whatever, because they ain't got no job. But other folks, you know, where you have catered to it, and now when it's like you want to say we're gonna go in and worship, and they rather go play Fortnite. What are some ways that parents can, because you don't want to whoop them into worship. I mean, for God's sake, they'll be offended. You know, they won't hear nothing from the Lord. What's some ways we can lead our children in?
No one can make anyone worship.
Right. Right.
You can fake praise. I can make you clap. I can make you with your hands. Some of it is the awareness that many people are behind the curve.
Mm.
It reminds me of people that start having trouble with their teenagers because they didn't parent them as children.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you want to have conversations and they don't like you.
Right.
But that's being behind the curve. So some of this is a wake-up call that maybe we've been behind the curve because they've never seen you worship.
Right.
They've never seen you pray. They've never seen you hold a Bible. They only see you go into a church building,
right,
and do that. So I say that hopefully to answer your question is if a person is behind the curve, you can't make somebody worship, but they can watch you worship.
Right. So set them down on the yeah.
Turn everything off and say, hey guys, I just want to shut everything in the house off just for about a half hour. I'm gonna put some music on. I need to call out to God because I love you guys and I want everybody to be safe. I want your future to be great. Give me a half hour. Okay, well, they don't have to do it, but they will never forget watching you do it. I can still remember my grandmother who's passed. I can remember as a 10, 11-year-old boy, she would sit me on a couch like this one right here. Like this one right here. She'd sit me on that couch and I'd sit there and she would walk the floor. She had 13 kids and she'd pray for all those kids. I never forgot it. Okay. I didn't walk with her. I didn't pray with her. I didn't know praying in tongues when I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So they will never forget. Kids cannot remember what has not been experienced.
Right.
So
nor can they desire it.
They can't desire it. They have no frame of reference.
Right.
So I'm trying to answer your question, but I also know that many parents are behind the curve. And the truth of the matter is, as you said, we've had a generation of people trying to pay off an existential debt that they don't owe, in thinking that I'm a good parent because my kids are involved in 4 programs, 3 sports, 2 clubs, and the amount of money that you have spent on clubs and shoes and dresses and balls and everything.
Right.
And then church has become an option.
Right.
So what you have taught them is that church is an option. Okay, but now they done shut down all that other stuff.
Right.
And my kids, I mean, I'm a sports guy, in the fact that I think sports are good for people. It's good discipline. It's good training. My son was a soccer player, kinda. He played football. He was terrible. But he ended up getting his black belt in karate, and he's a musician. Our daughter Meredith was Miss Teen Ohio. Okay,
right.
when she was young, and she was a competitive dancer. I'm not against any of that. We did not miss church for that.
Come on.
Okay, that is not what we do. And so, really, I think a lot of parents. This sounds kind of correctional. I hope I'm not being too heavy.
Oh, correct on, Bishop. Come on, correct on.
Well, I think a lot of parents have used their children as an excuse to miss church.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't be there. It's family day. What does that mean? How does going to church mess up your family? Isn't that the family day?
Right.
And so anyway, I'm saying that to say this is a reset moment. It's a reset moment to say, you know what? I haven't prayed in front of my kids in this house in 5 years.
Yeah.
They've never heard me call their names out. Do you know how powerful it is to have someone that you care about when you hear them call your name out?
Come on, Bishop. Come on.
When my grandmother used to say, oh God, I thank you for Michael. I thank you for him and for what you called him to do. Okay. Ooh, I feel that right there.
Yeah. It's heating up in here. Come on.
Ha. So so yeah, it's a reset moment. So let's do that. Let's turn on some music. And I would say to parents, I know that one of the things that we're doing here, and I'm not exactly sure what you may have going there, but our children's department is putting online Bible lessons for children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's not easily accessible, we use Orange. So I don't know if you guys are on Orange or that, but there is online Bible lessons and Bible cartoons, and you can sit and watch that with your children.
Right.
How is it they know who Batman Robin is, and they know everybody's batting averages, and they know who it is in the NBA? Well, nobody ever took them to a class for that.
Right. Right.
Because that's what they learn by osmosis. You could put on a video of children's lessons. I'm going too long in that. Anyway, there's a way to do it.
Well, look, in your cautioning, so you just hit something about the online stuff, right? So in your cautioning, I want you to aim something at this because what's coming out from the church in this crisis is creativity, right? So churches, including us, are finding ways to hit all age groups with their socials, okay?
Right.
With their socials, you have this youth ministry is meeting on Instagram at streaming on this time, and young adults this time, and on Facebook over here from Kids page, and people can come on and get all the departments still prepackaged for their kid in that area, and they have a choice that those churches who have bigger resources and more avenues to plug kids into and that atmosphere there, they can decide to use that as a substitute for this time to take personal responsibility to do the things you're saying, or they can use it as a supplement. You know, what do you say to those who would, use it as a substitute as opposed to supplementing with incorporating what also you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the perfect word, because it's the question, is it a supplement or a substitute? And so my grandson, Theo, who's 4, if I'm reading to him a Bible story out of a book, you know, like a child's book, I want to read it with him. And he sits with me and I read it with him. And we learn by teaching.
Yeah.
And one of the things that hinders sometimes parents of teenagers or adolescents is that they feel like I don't know this well enough, and they're kind of scared because they don't want the kids to know that I don't really know this.
Right. They already know. They already know.
But you learn by teaching.
Right.
While you're teaching them, you are learning yourself.
Right. Right.
And I think the relationship like this, you know, the relationship, we are in the first generation of people that are being raised without the input of their elders.
Come on, Bishop. Come on.
And this is so hindering to me, because if you go back to the early days, way back, agricultural, you know, men had boys to help them work in the fields.
Right.
So they worked all day with their dads. The girls were in the kitchens with their moms, the grandmoms, and to eat, you had 2 and 3 generations sitting around the table. The kids weren't allowed to talk, but they got to hear the input from their elders.
Right.
And obviously times change. I get that. But today's generation of children are being raised only by the input from their peers.
Right.
And that social media, it's who they talk to. So one of the things, this sounds totally unspiritual, but I tell you that it is spiritual. Family dinners.
Yeah. That's real.
Lockdown anyway. You on lockdown anyway.
Right.
I don't care if you order a pizza.
Right.
Everybody's going to sit at the table, and we're going to sit here and we're going to talk.
Right.
That's a blessing.
Definitely. And you know what? People let their guard down around food. You know, it's whenever you got to have a real corrective meeting, it's best to have you a good old steak or something right in the middle of it. Calm down a bad attitude.
You know, I found out about Jesus. Whenever you're with Jesus, you're going to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be in the wilderness. You're going to eat.
Right.
And he's going to give his disciples the worst news of their life. And he goes, let's go have a dinner.
Right. Have a drink on me.
Stuff, right. And
don't remember nothing. As long as you do this, remember me when you had his drink.
Right. No. So the Pharisees said to him one time, how come your disciples, they don't fast. Jesus said, well, when I'm gone, they can fast. As long as I'm here, we're going to be eating. There really is something in that to me.
Put them around the table. It's that's something that has escaped the people. Let me ask you this, kind of shifting, going past this thing. One of the things I've considered, because thinking more not just about the church, but about retail and things of that nature. You know, that brick and mortar stores have already been kind of at a loss as the boom of the internet has come on, and online and brick and mortar have been at odds with each other. Now that we come to really a crossroads, in a sense, where the church has also kind of been at this at odds with each other, online versus brick and mortar, local community church, or just catch somebody's stream but not be planted anywhere. Yeah. Now that we've pushed everybody, because we have to adapt to being online, do you think coming out of this thing that it's going to bring out a roar of the worshiper that says, I can't wait to run to the house of God? Or is it going to settle people down more into the idea of, I can have a plethora of opportunities to watch anything I want, and I can get online and it's the same thing. I don't have to go anymore.
Yeah, we're all thinking about that. It's a brilliant question. And I would say probably both. And I would say true worshipers would say it's not the same thing.
Right.
Okay. It's not the same thing. Think about this. David in the Bible was obviously complicated.
Yeah.
To me. He likes to play his harp and write poems and sing songs. He will beat you to death. Right. Do not misinterpret David. Right. He will beat you down. Okay. So, but I think that he learned to worship by himself with those sheep.
Yeah.
Playing his harp, worshiping before God. So it's obvious David knows how to worship by himself.
Yeah.
But it was David that said, I was glad when they said unto me.
Right.
Because that's where he said, this is what David said, that's where the tribes go up.
Yeah.
And that's where the throne of God is. And there he makes, so David knew how to worship by himself, but he did not see it as the same thing about being connected to other people, because God sits upon the praises of his people. So I can worship in my house, and maybe my worship comes down to be with everybody, because I can't just sing my favorite song, and I can't just do it my way. But so yes, I think that when we come out of this, we will value corporate praise. Yeah. One of the things I love about praise and worship is I get excited watching other people praise. Yeah. And all of us got peoples. And I got some people, a certain song gets going and they got their thing going over here in the corner. And it so blesses me. It blesses me to watch them do it their way. And yeah, so we encourage each other through praise and worship. I don't know if I answered that, but that's how I feel about it.
You did. In fact, and just to run it a little further, how do we prevent the conditioning of our own minds? Like, if we're going to take responsibility for our own self about things that we're reading and listening to, how do we prevent the conditioning of our own minds when we're constantly hearing the orders that are coming out, right? And the language that's used are words like essential and non-essential. And it's painted constantly to you that every other facet of life, exercise, gasoline, grocery shopping, doctor's visits, regular life, that's essential, and worship is non-essential. And when you hear that enough, because all of these services can be done online. I can bank online. I can have food delivered through Amazon Pantry, Prime Pantry. I can or Uber Eats, all this. I can, any of these services, exercise, there's apps for that, and you do it right in your living room. All of these services are available online as well, yet are considered essential. And then the church is considered not. And when you listen to that long enough, how do you intentionally prevent that subliminal conditioning of worship is non-essential?
Yeah, well, I think that that is going to be revisited
Yeah.
upon the people that have used that language.
Come on, Bishop.
I think our leaders, who I pray for and I admire, and I thank God for them, they're scrambling. They're trying to figure out how to run our states and our governments, our nations. But the fact that they chose almost afterthought about the church being non-essential,
Right.
that's somewhat offensive. I choose not to be offended, but I think that they're going to have to revisit that term.
Yeah.
And so I think that will. But that also is a wake-up call to all of us who are believing families,
Right.
to say, wow, did you think that we were non-essential?
Right.
Did you is that what our place is in the world, that our cities think that we could shut every church in town down,
right,
and it wouldn't affect anything?
Right.
So so I think we keep that out of our mind.
Yeah.
It's okay to think about. I don't take any offense at it. I used to say for years that if half the churches in our city closed down, would nobody know about it for a month?
Right.
So yeah, so we're learning in that. So I choose to learn and to grow rather than just to be upset.
Yeah, absolutely. I made the point just in trying to sometimes I just try to disrupt thinking, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And put a speed bump in front of some stuff. And I had made the point when they were saying that because this language is pouring, and I start seeing believers saying, stay home, just do the essential things, and never consider that. And the purpose is honestly good at heart, which is we want to stop the spread of this virus. And I made this point, and I jokingly said it, but if dead serious, is that if people who have the coronavirus, they have to eat food, they have to go get medicine, they have to get gasoline. So they are at the grocery stores because they got to get their the pharmacies, etc. The church is the only place that you would say to a person, hey, listen, if you have signs of sickness, don't come in here.
Right.
Here's some hand sanitizer for y'all. Wash your hands over there. But you don't have to come here if you have the virus, but you got to go get some food, you know? Right. So the church is the safest place, you know, with its non-essential self.
Well, I totally get the rationale and the thinking. And so the only difference is, of course, that you don't have hundreds of people in the gas station at one time.
Right.
You know? Right. And we made a decision pretty early on. Our governor, put us, I think we're on day 10 or 11 here on lockdown. And, but I have, a few thousand people coming through my building.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, like, well, they don't have a few thousand people at the gas station or the liquor store or any place like that. And I wanted to be safe because, to me, at least where I'm at, I feel uncertain about what people know about this, what our scientists and health professionals are telling us. I'm watching New York go up like this, and they're saying, we might be another 2 or 3 weeks before we max out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a faith guy. Okay. I'm a faith guy. And I believe God, and I'm asking God to heal our land.
Yeah.
But I can't be ignorant and in denial in the middle of it, because people are looking to me to lead, and I can't risk their safety to make a point.
Yeah.
What I want them to know, like you do, I so love the way that you and Tria lead, because you care. And some people only care. They're only having services because, they want to stand behind the pulpit and they got to have somebody clap for them and all of that. But when you care about people, and you care about their children and their families and their future, and there's another day on the other side of this. Mm-hmm. And what I do now is going to determine. I'm watching some people that right now, and they are hurting their reputations in the community. They are hurting their relationship with other pastors and leaders because, they're the only ones, holy enough to do something.
Yeah.
So you guys, I mean, what is it? 6 years, 7? What anniversary was it when I was there?
4. So we're in our 5th year right now, and a pandemic.
Yeah. So you guys are being thrown into the deep end, and but the good thing about being thrown into the deep end is that you know how to swim.
Yeah, come on, Bishop. Come on.
It don't
Bishop.
matter how deep the water is when you know how to swim. And I think the world of you guys. And it's not an easy time, but we're gonna have stories to tell. We're gonna have stories to tell, testimonies to tell, hands to raise, hands to clap. We're gonna have things to say.
Yeah.
But it is people like you and Tria that care about your people and your community that are making a difference. And I salute you. I love you. I think you guys are awesome. I think, yeah, you're in the right time, right place.
I'm gonna tell you something. We're connected to the right ones. Well, I'm following your footwork. Constantly, you know, I bother you all the time for advice on, hey, we just got this. What do you think? How do you advise here? And I take what you say. I don't take anything you say with a grain of salt. And I don't think I've ever heard you tell me something that I didn't take seriously and put into play. With that said, we can close out. I just want to know if you can give some advice to somebody who's watching that is not necessarily worried for themselves, like myself. I'm 39. The mortality rate for this thing in my age bracket is small, but I have a 92-year-old grandmother, and I have an 86-year-old grandmother, and I have a 62-year-old mother. And so for people who have an older parent that they're concerned about, or a young child, that their worry doesn't rest in them or even in their household, but somewhere that they can't get to make sure that that person is safe. I have a couple of specific members of the church that I consider family that are in that type of situation. If you could speak some encouragement to anyone that's in that situation, that's worried about someone out of their reach, that could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can always call them and say, hey, I'm just checking on you today. My wife's mother is 77. And so I called her the other day and just said, hey, I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
Seeing how you're doing. And she said, oh, so nice to talk to somebody, because she's in her house by herself. Hey, do you need something? I can have groceries delivered to your house. We don't have to have people come in. You know, they can drop them off on the porch, whatever. Right. So I would say, yes, call and to check, because sometimes it's not that they're ill. It's not that they're totally at risk because they're not out and about. It's the fact that they're lonely and isolated and they feel separated. Mm-hmm. And just to hear somebody's voice, and not to be just like a 30-second chat, make sure you carve out a little bit of time and have a few things to talk to them for a half hour. Right. You and I've been talking on here for a half hour. You know? And just say, I just want to talk to you about something, and tell me about what it was like growing up, or tell me stories I don't know about. It's visiting. You know, a merry heart does good like a medicine.
Yes.
And so that's my advice to that. And I think it's admirable that you care about that, because we've had a lot of work over the last years of churches wanting to reach millennials and Zers. Mm-hmm. And that I care about. But some of my greatest volunteers are retired people.
Yeah.
So we have to have generations working together. And so I think about that as it relates to generations working together, about us not forsaking people that have given their life to do things for God, and for us caring for one another. And I'm also noticing that incredibly cool book behind your head.
This here?
What is that?
Hey, this little product placement comes to you from Square Root Church. This is the Fault Lines book. You can get that at michael.com. And make sure you check that out. That is life-changing. You've got nothing else to do. Stop binging on Netflix and get you some of this action. Who put that there? I don't know.
And it's on the organ. So, I mean, it's an organ.
Hey, shameless plug, man. Hey, you my pastor. I hope they looked at this for 30 minutes.
So, you know, the thing is, if you're going to be at home for a few weeks, you might as well read something. So,
right.
Go to com and get it.
That's right. And while we're at it, hey, go to YouTube and check out the scenarios. We dropped episode 2. Our podcast, me and my wife. Check that out, guys. If you're at home,
congratulations on that. I mean,
plug.
No, it's not yeah, absolutely. And congratulations, because you guys got that out there just as like the shutdown and lockdown was coming on around here. So, but I do want to commend you and all of the people that love you and know you and the Square Root Church. I mean, in a short 4 years, you guys have and are making such an impact there. I was so thrilled when I was with you guys. I felt like I preached too long because I was so excited to be there. I didn't want to sit down. I just wanted to, what a great atmosphere, what a great blend of people and diversity in generations and ethnicities, all of it. And the worship and the spirit is fabulous. So, so yeah, it's your time to arise and shine. It feels weird because, you know, we may have to do it in different methods for just a little bit. But I declare and I decree that the people of God will rise up and they will see a new day, and they will find, and we will find our places in our communities, and we will not be in obscurity any longer. And the bushel is coming off of the candlestick, and we will shine into dark places, and families and generations will be saved. You know, I'm thinking, Pastor, that there are people that many Sundays, their families go to church, and whether they be teenagers or children or whoever they may be, that's their time because they have the house to themselves because mom or dad or whoever goes off to church.
Right.
But now church is coming to the house.
Come on. And
mom and dad and everybody ain't leaving you over here at the house. And I'm believing that prodigals are coming home.
Yeah.
And that people who have been running away from God, now they have time to think.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to work. You ain't going to no ball games. You're not going to a concert. They done shut everything down. And now you're sitting at your house and you're used to your grandmother or your mom or your dad or cousins getting up and going to church and leaving you at the house by yourself. And now they got Daniel Rios preaching on a live screen, big screen with surround. So I'm trusting and believing God for the good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Bishop, if you don't mind, just pray us out, man. Speak of just pray over the situation and everything. And thank you again. Before you do, I just want to say thank you, Pastor Kathy. I know you are the technical side of this. You can hear me. Just know I love you. We thank you as well. And y'all don't kill each other over there.
I told someone it's either going to be a baby boom or a divorce court on the other side of this thing. I don't know whether divorce rates will go up or baby booms. I don't want somebody to think I'm making a joke. I'm just having fun. I thank God for our life. I thank God that we were sent to the earth for such a time as this, that we are not here by chance or by choice. We are here by divine assignment. I thank you that means we have what it takes to stand up under the pressure, to push through the moment, and to bring a revelation of who God is to our generation. I thank you for the Square Root Church. I thank you for these pastors. I thank you for their team. I thank you for their community. I thank you for the state of Florida. I thank you for what you're doing in our lives. And I declare and I decree that everything connected to these people are blessed, and we will have stories and testimonies on the other side of this. And that we believe and that we know in the name of Jesus. Thank the Lord and amen.
Amen. Bishop, thank you again, man. It's always a privilege and an honor. I know you're a busy man. It means the world to us and the church family. But even more so, just you as my pastor, I thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's invaluable.
Love you guys, and let's do it again if we need to before long, okay?
Absolutely. Love you. Bye.
And peace out.